Hello, everybody. My name is Kevin Paloe from Yahoo Entertainment, and I volunteer as moderator for the Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes press conference today from Los Angeles. I had to hit him with like a deep cut reference right away just to like separate the fakes from the fans, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody gets that reference. We are so happy to have the cast here today. The strike is over. Guys, this is so exciting. We're getting back to normal. I love this. I'm going to introduce you guys one by one so everybody knows who's here. First off, he plays Corio, future tyrant of Panem, but actually we find out was actually once a pretty solid guy, Mr. Tom Blyth.
Hello, thank you for having me.
She plays Lucy Gray, the eponymous songbird and Dolly Parton of District 12, who is mentored by Mr. Blyth in this film. Rachel Zegler.
Hello.
She plays Tigris Snow, loyal cousin to Corio, and someone who in the future is going to really lean into her name, but maybe not quite yet. Hunter Schafer. And last but not least, he plays Sejanus Plinth, friend to Corio, and I would say moral compass of the mentors, if you will, Josh Andres Rivera.
Thank you.
You guys are all magnetic in this film. Amazing work all around. It's so exciting to see the mythology of the Hunger Games expanded to find out what happened back in the day. We're going back to the 10th Hunger Games based on the 2020 book. It is you guys all helped make it such a fun and thrilling adventure. So congrats to you guys all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to kick this off with a two-part question for each of you guys. We're going to go around the horn. The first part, because I want to establish your Hunger Games fandom, because I know we have a lot of journalists who are also Hunger Games fans on the line. So first part of the question is on a scale of 1 to 10. What was the level of your Hunger Games fandom coming into this? So like 1 being never heard of Hunger Games somehow, maybe. 5 being like, you know, maybe you read a book, maybe you saw a few movies. 10 being you wrote love letters to Suzanne Collins. Okay. Part 2 of the question, what excited you most about the role that you played? Tom, you want to kick it off?
Sure, okay. Fandom-wise, I was a huge fan of the original films. I went to see them every opening weekend growing up. Hadn't read the original books, much to my kind of regret when I got this part, because I was like, oh man, it turned out to be a good thing, because actually I then didn't kind of have to infect my brain with all the stuff that comes 64 years later. But obviously then read this book and fell in love with the writing, and I was like, oh my god, I have to go back and read those original books. So next on the list is to kind of rewind and go back and read all the others. The part of Corio to me was just an absolute dream come true, because as a fan of those original films, watching what Donald Sutherland did with him that was kind of deliciously evil, and then getting to kind of rewind the history tapes and look at kind of why he became like that, and also just question his kind of morality and get to go through that up and down that he goes through in the book. Yeah, it was an absolute dream for me as an actor.
Rachel, how about you?
I wasn't quite writing love letters to Suzanne Collins, but I was definitely up there. I would give myself a 9.
Okay.
I did read all of the books, and I saw all the movies as they came out, and it was a really lovely kind of bonding experience for my mom, my older sister, and I, because we all read them together and watched them together, and it was so wonderful. And so when it came to this book, I read it the second it came out in 2020, just because it was very anticipated for me. I just loved that Suzanne was adding on to this story that I loved so much. And then when I found out that there is this brown-haired girl who loved to sing from District 12, I just got so excited at the prospect of getting to do something like that, and was reading it, imagining the opportunity to perform as her. And when it came time to the casting, and Francis called my agent and said that I was his top pick to play the part, I was, so humbled and honored, and I'm so glad that I got that opportunity that I had dreamed of when I was reading it.
Great. Hunter, how about you?
I would say probably a 9 to a 10 as far as fandomness goes. I read the books in middle school and was deeply obsessed, and then saw the first movie and like got obsessed with the costumes, and I made my own literal capital person like costume for Halloween one year. I was like drawing my own graphic novels of the books. Like it was a real deep obsession for a while. So it feels really full circle to be here now doing this.
And what excited you about Tigris specifically?
Yeah, Tigris, I mean, I do feel like if I were to play anybody in this book, it was supposed to be her. I think I feel aligned with how she sort of like moves throughout the world and uses like fashion as an armor, and I also just admire her values towards family and family first, and kind of operating on the fact that she'll do anything for them, and that's something that I want to stay aligned with throughout my life. So yeah.
Awesome. Hey, Josh.
Hey.
Over to you.
I read the first book when I was younger, and I got really into the movies. I'm a pretty big fan. I did a quiz of it like last week, and I did really bad though. So I guess that puts me at like a 7 or an 8, because I guess I didn't retain like a crazy amount from the original, but I really liked them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so I'm gonna say 8.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about.
Oh yeah. Something I really, really like about him, and that definitely drew me in when we started filming too, was the amount of friction he has with so many of the characters. Just as far as like portraying something goes, that just tends to be like the funner kind of thing to do, is just, having a lot of people disagree with you and try to, convince everyone that you're right. A lot of times, just as an actor, is really fun. His overall belief system and how that contrasted the world that he was in was really yummy.
Tom, you mentioned the great Donald Sutherland. I mean, what massive shoes to step in, even though this is a younger version of him, and obviously he's going to evolve a lot between these two stories. But I mean, how much did you look at that performance in those first 4 films for sort of clues on how you would form a younger version of him?
Yeah, I kind of had to reserve, or I guess refrain myself from kind of like going down the rabbit hole of watching all those movies again and watching his performance again, because obviously the first instinct I had was to try and kind of recreate it somehow, or to like nod to it in kind of like a savvy way. But the thing is, like, that's never going to be slick. Like, it's never going to be savvy. Everyone's going to be like, it feels like you're copying a performance that has already been great. And you can't, like, the minute as an actor you try to recreate anything that works, whether it's something you've done or something another actor has done, like, it's the death of spontaneity, and you just can't recreate. It has to be fresh, and it has to be in that moment, and it can only live in that moment. So very early on, I kind of put that to the side, and Francis and I talked about making my own, and also just kind of asking what drives him now as opposed to what drives him later on when he's president and a dictator and a tyrant, because he is a different character in this movie. He's in this book. He's a character who is a brother and a grandson and a student and an ambitious kid who just like wants to do well in his life. And then by the end of the movie, he's something totally different because of his relationship to Lucy Gray and because of his relationship to the Capitol in general, and what he sees and what he learns. And the beauty of the film is that you get to see that transition in real time, and that's what draws me to him so much as a character. And I think what the fans are drawn to as a character is seeing that, like, he's not just one thing. He ends up as a tyrant, but 64 years before that, he was something else entirely. And the interesting part is seeing what he goes through to get there. So to your point, I think, like, by the end, I wanted him to be more like the President Snow that we know. But at the beginning, he's something completely different and younger. And I don't know, I keep saying I hope that by the end of the film, you see kind of 3 distinct Corios. You've got like Corio the boy, Coriolanus who is becoming a man, and then like Coriolanus Snow, the future president. And I think hopefully you kind of see his body and his voice change with that.
Hunter, similar question for you, because Tigris evolves also pretty dramatically, both in a lot of ways, emotionally, physically, all over the place. Did you closely look at her appearances in the earlier films to informing her?
Yeah, I distinctly remember her character in the books, and then seeing that character because she was so striking in the Mockingjay movie. But clearly, there's a pretty big jump from this movie to that Tigris, and I'm kind of thankful for that because it allowed us to, in the same respect Tom was talking about, kind of create our own take on this Tigris, and like on a visual level and on a character level, kind of like allow so many of like the literal layers of stuff that she's accumulated by the time we meet her in Mockingjay to like let those fall away for this and kind of just bring a bit of myself into this Tigris, and but also having the resource of the book, which is a blessing. Yeah.
Rachel, you do not play a younger version of Jennifer Lawrence in this movie. If anyone thought that, nobody thinks that. But I mean, are there lessons that you took from her performances in those films, being a fan, that you were able to apply to yours in this one?
I just think as actors, watching Jennifer's performance in the original trilogy is watching a masterclass in performance in general. When it came to the approach of Lucy Gray, I kind of felt like I didn't have to, akin to what Tom was saying, it kind of puts an unnecessary pressure because it's a different character and a different time of Panem, and I feel like Lucy Gray is a war-torn teenager who's had everything she knows ripped from her, yet she's still making the best of it. And so it was, very similar to Katniss in that perspective, but she's a very different dynamic in response to being placed in an arena in front of a bunch of people and having to make the world root for her. She's very good at that. She's very persuasive in her performance and very good at getting an audience on her side. So it was very fun to play that, but I do think that there's elements of Katniss within her, and that makes it all the more fun to go back and watch the original trilogy and kind of see how Coriolanus remains haunted by Lucy Gray even in his late life, because there are echoes of her within Katniss Everdeen.
We're going to move to some specific questions submitted by the members of the press who are watching today. This first one is for both Josh and Tom. This is from Christopher Gallardo at Covered Geekly. With the brotherhood that you guys developed both on and off set, how important was growing that bond for your characters? And were there any memorable moments between the both of you on set that cemented that?
Ooh. I mean, we were pretty much the first two cast members to arrive, I think.
Yeah,
right?
we got pretty lucky in that way, I feel.
Yeah, like we were the earliest scenes up at the very beginning, and so we were in Berlin, Josh and I, doing like our fittings and stuff together. I think we met at a fitting for the first time, right?
We did. I went to say hi to Francis, because I don't think I had met him in person. You were just getting done with a meeting as well.
He had like 2 back-to-back meetings where he did like a meet and greet with us,
Yeah,
right? And like
exactly.
I came out and you were going in, and we were kind of like,
a quick, like, hey,
yeah.
man. Yeah. But we did have the luxury of sort of hanging out a lot during pre-production.
We went to see some movies.
Yeah.
We went to a Leon Bridges gig together.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
in
right.
Berlin.
So it was kind of nice. We had the real luxury of kind of having that chemistry already be there a bit when we first had to film, because the first scene we shot actually was when Corio has to rescue Sejanus in the arena, which, if you remember, is like, it's quite vulnerable and intense. And to have that be your first day is a bit intimidating, but it was definitely really nice that we had the luxury to kind of get to know each other beforehand, because I think that manifested a good amount personally.
There was, in terms of stories, there was like one that sticks out where towards the end of the shoot we were filming this scene, actually one of the earliest scenes in the movie, which is the Reaping Day scene, where all the students and mentors are gathered and then told that it's the Reaping Day and that we're being given mentees basically, and in the scene originally he was supposed to give me some cookies because he realizes that Corio is hungry and that his family aren't doing that well, even though they're keeping up appearances. And Josh, every time, went to give me like the little packet of cookies, and I'd go out to put my hand out to reach them, and it would feel really light. And I'd be like, okay, great, I'm supposed to like eat them in the scene. And I go to open it, and there's no cookies left because Josh has been eating them on set. set. and like every time, and we must have done like 12 takes of this one
It
bit
was
of
a lot.
coverage.
And it was 2 cookies per. They were really good.
And every time
they were
I was
peanut
like-
butter.
They were peanut butter, which actually was, you were saving my life because I have like a mild peanut allergy. So,
You're
so
welcome,
maybe
Tom.
he was actually, maybe this was.
I'm a little
love.
guardian
Maybe
angel,
that's what it was.
actually.
But
You saved his life.
every time I was surprised, and I thought there was going to be cookies in, and every time there wasn't.
They're really good.
Next question is for Rachel. This is from Greg Archer at MovieWeb.
Hi, Greg.
Rachel, can you share more about the experience of actually singing live, performing on set, and what that entailed? And how did you move through any challenges or fears on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of my choice to sing live on set. I had done it before on my first film, and I feel really confident in that sphere of performance in general. That was what I was. I kind of came out of the womb doing on stage. So getting to do that for my peers and on set for my crew and the creative team was something really special that I felt like I could bring to the table. When you're working on sets like that, or when you're even watching movies, it kind of takes you out of the world when all of a sudden somebody starts lip syncing and it just kind of takes you out of it. So I felt really blessed that Francis and Nina trusted me to do that, and getting to bring that into the acoustics of the Hob or the stage at the Reaping and all of the other places. I don't want to spoil that Lucy Gray gets to sing. It just adds a completely different tone to the scenes, and I felt like it was really, really important, not only to me but also to the character, that I would be doing a disservice if I didn't perform live every take. And it was a lot, and it was very strenuous, but I trained to do it, and I felt really, really confident with the outcome, and I hope audiences do too.
This honestly might be my favorite question to ask, because I'm just is a big music guy. This is from Molly Amberson at Panem Propaganda.
Oh, I know them, yeah. On Twitter, they're cool.
I was a big fan. What for each of you? We'll go right down the line, starting with you, Hunter. What music did you listen to get into character?
Ooh. I do remember for some scenes we had to do, I had the headphones out. I think there was one where I had to get emotional, and like Sparks by Coldplay, always like that. Ooh.
That does it?
Yeah, that does it, yeah.
Yeah, for me it was Don't Think Twice, It's All Right by Joan Baez, because I feel like that's really a Lucy Gray type vibe, where she's just kind of like, you just ruined my life, but it's okay.
I have a pretty extensive choreo playlist. Music's a big way in for me. I think like Money, Power, Glory by Lana Del Rey is like the first song on the playlist, and then it goes to like Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles, because that song has always, since I was a kid, just made me feel really kind of like kooky and crazy. It feels unhinged, and so when he undergoes his transformation, that was a big one. And then like all the way to like Wagner's like Flight of the Valkyrie or whatever it's called. There's like the big like, you know, when he's kind of feeling epic and like royalty. So I don't know, it goes all over the place. Yeah.
I listened to a lot of Silk Sonic.
Nice.
I don't know that it got me into character, but I really liked that album.
Just great music.
Yeah, it's just really good. I don't know. Honestly, anything that puts me in kind of like a good mood is just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't like listening to music that makes me like sad. So, yeah, Silk Sonic, that's my answer.
Okay. Next one, I'm going to put this one out there for whoever wants to grab it. This is from Sophia Soto at Nerds of Color. Which was the coolest prop, set, or outfit to see brought to life visually for the film?
I was definitely curious to see what Trish Somerville was going to do with the rainbow dress, because really the only description it gets in the book is that there are pink, blue, and yellow ruffles, and that's it. And I was really, really wondering how she was going to bring it to life, and it was even better than I could have possibly imagined, and I think it really speaks for itself. But then also with the rest of her costumes, because the rest of her outfits really don't get described too much in the book, I think Trish just took the Covey Love color line and ran with it, and in such a beautiful direction. So I really think it was probably that. And then also in post-production, seeing what the rainbow snakes from Dr. Gall's lab looked like, that was really cool for me as a book fan.
Mm-hmm. Tom, did you have one?
You know, it's not a prop, but actually the Hob as a location for me was like just next level art direction. It was so well done, and like, actually, what I love about reading a book and then seeing a film adaptation is that sometimes it totally meets your expectation, and you're like, oh yeah, it's like cathartic, because it's like exactly what you had in your mind. And then sometimes your expectation is challenged, and you see something that you're like, oh, that's not what I thought at all. It's even better, like it's even cooler. And that happens with like casting, but it also happens with like art direction. And The Hob for me was like a moment where I went, oh, I could never have imagined this in my wildest dreams. Like I thought it was just like a marketplace with like a little shack where the music is played when I read it. But actually, like Uli Hanesh, art director, production designer, he set it in, and I guess this is a great location scouting moment as well, where like they set it in this kind of old, disused, like iron mine or steel mine or something, steel mine in Duisburg, Germany, and it was like down in the depths of this mine, and then they put like the marketplace in there and the stage in there, so it kind of echoed and had all this like this cool paraphernalia that some of which you recognize from the first films and some of it's new, but that was a cool moment for me. Yeah.
Last question for today. We're going to go down the line for this one because it's a fun one. This is from Madeline Lapriziosa. I hope I got that right. At Just Jared, what would be your strategy and or weapon of choice if you were to compete in the Hunger Games? Hunter.
I'm gonna go with camouflage because I have a little experience with paint, so I feel like I could go PETA on him and like be a rock or something.
Be a rock.
Yeah.
I love it. I feel like I'd have to go the route of Lucy Gray. We were just talking about this earlier, as you do. And I think I would have to win the affections of Panem and then hide and get a lot of sponsors so that I don't die of hunger.
Yep.
But hide and wait everyone out.
Yeah. I think I like in the movies, in the original franchise, when Peter does the face paint. And I like to think I could do that, but I definitely couldn't. So I probably would rely on my climbing skills because I'm pretty good at climbing. So I'd probably climb trees.
Right.
I would probably try to make friends with the strong boys, and just see how far I can like kind of coast under their shoulders before they backstab me eventually. But we'll worry about that when we get there.
You always wonder about the team up mentality. It's like, when do you decide you're all just going to turn on to each other?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to happen at some point. Usually only once in a while. Guys, thank you so much for being here today. Again,
Thanks,
huge
Kevin.
Congrats on the film. You guys are wonderful in it. Thank you guys all watching at home or wherever you may be this Sunday for tuning into this, for sending your questions. The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is in theaters everywhere, November 17th. Thank you all.
Thank you.